Welcome to the PBC 2020 NBA Draft Remote Film Room. My name is Jon Chepkevich, Director of Scouting for the Professional Basketball Combine, and joining me today is an under-the-radar senior prospect, Northern Illinois' all-time leading scorer, Eugene German. What's going on, Gino?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Of course, glad to have you on. Thank you for joining. Being a senior prospect right now and coming out and pursuing your professional career amidst these uncertain times has to be a little bit tough, and wanted to, do something a little different here and give you a platform to talk through your game, what strengths you bring to the table, and how your game translates to the pros, so that teams and fans out there can get an understanding of who you are and who you are as a player and how you see the game and think through the game.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. Let's dive right into the tape here. Wanted to start with some of your strengths on the offensive side of the ball. So let's run this clip here against WMU. See, you've got it out top here. Maybe you can talk through this one, right? We'll let this play once, but then run it back, and maybe, as this pick and roll is initiating out at the top, you want to maybe just talk through, what your read is in this particular situation and, what your mindset is when you are initiating a pick and roll.
Oh, yeah. Basically in this, I seen my teammates set the pistol. So I was just basically going to attack and drag it out because I know Lacey is a good shooter. So I was looking at the backside and I seen that nobody was rotating. So, I just had to make the right read there. I still had two men on me. So my man Lacey knocked it down.
Yeah, just a really nice manipulation of the screen here, using your little in and out dribble there and kind of freezing those two guys, drawing them both to you, and a great kick out there for the pick and pop.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that, I guess, as you become a pro and it's a really pick and roll heavy league, and you're going to have a lot of bigs that can shoot the ball, do you think that, making those reads and drawing in bigs and looking for a popper in a pick and pop situation is somewhere that you can add value at the next level?
Yeah, man. Like very dangerous in a pick and roll situation because I can attack downhill. And then when you give me somebody that can knock down shots consistently, that just make it, even more dangerous. So yeah, that's definitely something that I feel like that I'll be good at the next level.
For sure. I think so too. Now we're going to move on to another pick and roll action here. This time you hit a guy on a little pocket pass. You want to maybe speak to what your read is in this situation as you're coming off of this pick and roll?
Yeah, I seen that Lacey lowered the screen. So I was trying my best to come off tight. So as I seen the big kid from Toledo, he came over more, and I seen just the opening right there. And, it was easy for my mans to go up and either draw a foul or lay it up.
Yeah, it's a slick little one-handed pocket pass. He doesn't make the basket, but gets fouled. So might not go down as an assist in the books like that pick and pop one did, but really nice read by you there. And, your versatility in making these reads and pick and rolls is particularly impressive. All right, next play here. This time you sort of reject the pick and roll and then have a really silky smooth whirling dervish spinning layup in the middle here. You want to maybe speak to both how you anticipate when's the best time to reject a pick and roll, and also just, how you've maybe worked on your footwork to be able to pull something like this off?
Yeah, basically when I see them isolate, we tried to ice the ball screen, I had to do it, and because his feet came up high. So as soon as his feet came up high, I attacked downhill. And, as I, went to go spin, I seen that his body was going more towards the left. So, for me to, counter that, the defense.
Yeah. And that's such a narrow window for you to get through, man. I mean, if we pause it right here, the fact that you're able to spin through and maintain control and then finish right from this situation right here is just really impressive. Nice read from you, finishing over the big. And, a lot of times there's some sort of inherent bias on smaller mid-major guards that there's a history of sometimes these guys being particularly productive in college, but then not translating to the next level. But having this variety of skill set in your offensive bag and being able to manipulate these pick and rolls and then also be able to reject them and have this dynamic footwork and be able to get to the rim, I think that bodes well for you to be able to kind of buck that trend and to be able to eventually break your way into the next level.
Absolutely.
So we've got another one against Western Michigan here, another pick and roll. This time you split it. Let's rewind this back and maybe you can talk through what you're seeing here and what causes you to make that read and split it.
Okay.
So we'll pause it right there.
Okay, so as was getting the ball, he was forcing me towards the screen. So as I was coming up the screen, I seen the big man, his feet was coming more towards right, and it just left the gap wide open for me to, just stride into my layup and, to elevate over the bigger Western Michigan defender.
Yeah, and I was particularly impressed with, how you really get the ball far out there on this dribble on the split, aren't wasting any time, any motion. You get right past this big guy, and then you have, the wherewithal to kind of use this goofy foot finish, jump off the right foot there to throw that helping big man off and get him off his rhythm. Is that something that you try to work into your game when you're finishing amongst the trees to kind of create an angle for a finish?
Yeah, it is. I work on that a lot when I'm in the gym, by myself, just working on different type of finishes. And, because, me being a 6-foot guard, I'm gonna have to finish around the basket, a lot harder, than, bigger guards. So, that's why I practice it a lot more.
Yeah, you've definitely got that craft in your bag and have figured out that, even if you're a smaller guard, you can definitely get to the rim and finish against these guys.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to move on to a couple potential improvement areas on the offensive end. So not necessarily major weaknesses or anything like that, but maybe some areas that if you just slightly brush them up could really bode well for, cleaning up your translatability to the next level.
Okay.
So you're going to see that a lot of these are centered around shot selection and decision making. And, it's important to keep in mind the context of your particular role in college, right? You were asked to do quite a bit. You were the offensive engine. So inherently that comes with being the guy who has to take some of these more difficult shots sometimes.
Absolutely.
But we just want to touch on a few of those because your role might change a little bit in the pros and you're going to want to cut some of these out, right?
Absolutely.
So in this particular situation, do you think there's maybe somewhere else you could have went or something else you could have done here rather than going up against this congested mosh pit of guys in the paint?
Absolutely. That's why I love, as I look at it, I see like in the moment, I'm thinking I have a shot, but I don't. So I should have dropped it off to my big man number 4, or I could kick it, to the right wing over there to Trendon.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like there's a few options there. You end up taking an off balance contested look, but there are some positives to be taken from this. And that look how much help defense you're drawing. All 5 guys have a foot in the paint because of how much of a scoring threat you are. Absolutely. Having that sort of scoring gravity is huge for a point guard, right? And just, brushing up your reads like you were talking about, like obviously you can see watching back the film what might have been a better look here. And if you can just more consistently make those, dump offs to the guy diving from the dunker spot or kick outs to a wide open 3, that's just going to increase your offensive value.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we'll move on to the next one here. Kind of similar in that you get into the paint, try to make a little crafty, off foot runner fading away here, but just get a little bit caught up and it ends up being a tougher look than you would have liked. And I've seen you make some difficult runners in the past before, but you want to maybe speak to in this situation, once you got to here, what maybe would have been the right read in this situation, in your opinion?
Yeah, like as I did, in the Toledo film, I could have either dropped it off, to number 32
right
to the rim, or I could kick it, right there to the left wing also. So
yeah, that's probably the one that I was thinking, that left wing, because I guess there's still some help down here. This guy wide open there might be able to stick that. And, in a modern NBA context, there's going to be a lot more spacing, and, the drive and kick will be a huge aspect of any offense that you would potentially slide into. So just, again, not a huge weakness. You're asked to create a lot at NIU, but could just kind of brush up making those kind of looks. And then this one here, not necessarily the worst shot selection from the perspective that it seems like you read this big man really well and you see that he's dropping, right? So it seems like pulling up there might not be a bad idea, but do you want to maybe speak to what you could have done better on this particular play, with how early in the shot clock it is?
Yeah. First, I can say we started off, like clean a little better, and then wait till we get to the end of the shot clock situation, to try to attack them downhill, and and then make a play for either me or my teammates.
Yeah, and you have the quickness advantage. We highlighted earlier how you have that finishing package with the off-foot finishes, all these unique ways to get to the rim and punish these bigs, maybe draw a foul. So maybe going after him is one thing. Maybe continuing to press a little and get that nice, easy pull-up mid-range could have worked. Ultimately, the only negative about this is just kind of how off balance you are on this, and it's early in the shot clock. So there's probably just a little bit easier of a look that you could have made. But again, not a bad read of the big dropping and trying to pull up, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So I think just eliminating a couple of those, tough misses or turnovers that stem from decision making and shot selection can go a long way in upping your efficiency and just making sure you can stay on the court at the next level.
Okay.
So let's move on to where you thrive on the defensive end. And this one is in a pretty key moment of the game, right? It's a 2-point game, 2:35 left. You're on the road, need to make something happen for your team. You want to maybe speak to, as we let this thing roll, what your particular read is here and how you make this impact, strip, and steal.
Yeah. So, we practiced all week, on that situation right there. He was, like a tough coverage coming off that screen at the free throw line. So we practiced, just deep dropping, and then like I just know that we was already gonna double him off the screen. So that was just a deep drop. I had to play halfsies with the one in the corner and deep drop. So, I just took the deep drop and, we pushed it up in transition after that.
Yeah. And is anything, I guess, as far as how much you help on this, does that vary from game to game based on the context of the scouting report on who the man is that you're guarding and how good of a shooter he is? And does that kind of vary how much you can help versus not? And did that come into play here in this situation?
Absolutely. I was, number 3, he's a pretty good shooter. So, I was playing halfsies. If he wasn't that, good of a shooter, I would have been over already earlier. But
right, you might have stole this pass on the front end if he was a little worse of a shooter, but you still made the play, even though you had to respect the shooter, right?
Right. So, I just used my quickness to, just come up with the steal and push it early in the break.
Yeah, just a really awesome play there. Good speed to recover, good quick hands. Let's highlight another one against Western Michigan here as well. This time's a little bit more on ball, right? The other one was a nice off ball read. This time is you just getting up in this guy's grill and making something happen when he gets a little lazy with the ball and loose with the ball. Is this something that, I guess that you as an on-ball defender are always looking to engage and cause chaos, or was it particularly just picking your spot and knowing maybe this guy isn't as strong with the ball in his hands as maybe others might be?
Yeah, definitely. I know it's another level, man. I'm gonna definitely, take my game to another level and try to pick up, guys full court and things like that. So, that wasn't, our like defense, to really do that. So, I just tried to crawl in defense, after the baby tag there, and seeing him kind of sleeping a little bit. So I just took it and pushed it.
Yeah, exactly. Just like recognizing that split second opportunity where he's trying to, trying to look to feed it down into the post and maybe just not protecting it as much as he should, and you just get your hand in there, cause a turnover, and get a fast break opportunity the other way. Just, you know, opportune good on ball defense there. And then this one I thought was particularly great in that, you know, you're winding down toward the end of the half here, and your teammate, you know, your teammate's playing pretty good defense here, but you end up just kind of jumping off your man and sliding in and cutting off that attacking angle. You want to maybe speak to like how you came to that decision and saw that moment to pop in and make the steal?
Yeah. My teammate, he's a pretty good defender. So, you know, I definitely was just, you know, I just had to come up with a big play. You know, we was down 4 in the second half, and I knew it was, you know, my time to, you know, try to do something for my team. So I just went for it, and it, you know, what happened. You know, I went for that steal, and, you know, I cut the lead to 2 right there.
Yeah, was this is this something that maybe if it wasn't the end of the game where you were down a little bit, that maybe you played a little differently? Or, you know, if this was happening 4 minutes into the game and it was a tie game, would you still kind of try to jump and cut that off?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have played a little bit more safer, you know,
Right.
you know, but, you know, I had to, you know, try to do something for my team in that moment. So,
Yeah.
you know, I came up with it.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to your basketball IQ, right? Like knowing game and situation, and, you know, when you can afford to be a little riskier with those types of things versus like playing it safer. I think that, you know, you have the wherewithal and the IQ to know when to pick and choose your spots, and that's definitely a good thing.
Definitely.
So this one, I think we're highlighting your communication a little bit here, right? You're pointing out screens, you're, you know, jumping into the help position like you're supposed to, right? Technically sound possession the whole way through. And then we'll get down toward the end of the possession here. Maybe we'll pause it a little bit before this, and you can maybe speak to, as the weak side defender here, what are you communicating to your teammates here, and what is your read in this situation?
I seen my big one. He was heavy. He was heavy on the head. So
Yeah.
I was telling Trenton to take you know, the guy, because, you know, that was our that was on the scout report. We fully rotating to him.
Yeah.
So, you know, as he rotated, I just had to, you know, just trust our defensive principles and rotate to the next guy. So I came up with the steal.
Yeah, I like, great job stepping up and being the leader in this situation and knowing the scouting report, kind of calling your guy up to the top there. And like you said, you're kind of on the island here trying to read the offensive guy's eyes here and jump the pass, and just do a great job of, you know, playing free safety there and jump up and make the play.
Definitely.
Now on this one here, we'll run this back, but I think you do a really nice job here of, you know, recognizing the situation, seeing that this guy's driving baseline, and you want to maybe, I guess, talk through what you were thinking in this situation and how you ended up making this play on the pass to the big man.
Yeah, I seen him beat a little bit, so I know that my big had to help. So, you know, and, you know, I was just basically just reading it the whole time. You know, you know, our defense is taught to deep drop anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, as he just passed the ball, you know, I just went for it. I had to be tough with it because, you know, that's a pretty big guy right there. So,
yeah, that's a huge dude. And, you know, it seems like you might have control of the ball here, but you end up coming in low and just wrapping it up and wrestling it away from him. And then, you know, creating a transition opportunity the other way. To like to see both the read and the effort and strength to rip that ball away.
yes, sir.
So the last thing we're going to touch on are just a few plays that highlight where you could maybe improve a little bit defensively. Okay. And a lot of these are fighting through ball screens and cutting off angles for drivers. So this first one, you see the ball screens coming at you at the top here, and, you know, you want to maybe just speak to how you approach, you know, being an on-ball defender of a pick and roll handler, and maybe how you could brush up, you know, cutting these guys off, fighting through screens, and maybe also, you know, the communication aspect with your big as well.
Yeah, I definitely took the ball on that one. You know, I should have just pressed into him more, make him use the ball screen and make sure, because with ball screens, you got to give up no rejection and, just make him use it. So,
Yeah.
like on that one, I definitely should have pressed up on him more, not gave him that angle to drive down.
Yeah, just caught a little too deep and then you end up being a little behind it. This one is more so, it seems like they're starting to initiate like a wing pick and roll. The guy kind of slips it and then he gets a little bit of a driving angle on you here. Do you think this is kind of a technique thing and opening up your hips and sliding, or more of like something where you need to increase your core strength to cut these guys off? What do you think would be the best way for you to kind of step up your game in these situations?
Yeah, so as I got the ball screen, I should have just lower and just lower my hips, so that he won't be able to drive through that lane, and not give him that angle, because I had him in front, I just feel like just laid him and just let him, just go at that point. I wasn't trying to pick up a foul, but I definitely should have got lower on that situation and cut that off.
Yeah, exactly. And, not necessarily something that you struggled with all the time, but again, like you can see in this one here against Iowa State, you end up coming under the screen this time. So when you go under a ball screen, the last thing you want to have happen is them still kind of beat you to the rim. Maybe you get tripped up a little bit with your big there, with your feet get tangled, which knocks you off balance a little bit. But again, I think just one of those things where, if you can just work a little bit on cutting off these driving angles and not giving those up as easily, that'll really help you, as a small guard, be able to, hang on the professional level in a ball screen heavy league, and be able to up your value defensively.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, hey, that was a fun time going through your clips, and I love digging into the film, love kind of hearing your perspective on both what you excel at and hearing your thoughts on how you can improve and continue to get better. And I think that you've been a standout at NIU the past few years. I'm here in Chicago and not too far away. I've been following along and, definitely wishing you the best here going forward into the pre-draft process. Before we wrap up here, wanted to give you the stage to, in the midst of all this uncertainty, the lack of in-person workouts where you might be able to go up against some of these higher high major point guards that are getting all the draft buzz and everything and show out against them. Normally you'd be able to do that, but with the lack of workouts and everything, I wanted to give you the stage to kind of state your case to NBA teams. So who is Eugene German? And if a team is to bring you into their organization, what can they expect from you both on and off the court?
Yeah, he's a hard worker, he's competitive, and it doesn't matter what team I come into. I'm willing to help out any team, to bring a championship to their program. Come in and compete against anybody. Don't really care about the name. I'm always come in and compete, and I'm a hard worker. I'm gonna go at anybody. And I'm just willing to work, man, to bring a championship into the program.
Yeah, that hardworking underdog mentality and willingness to do whatever it takes to add value, and with the ultimate goal being a team goal and focusing on a championship. That's what teams want from guys like you, right? And I think that, a team will eventually see that, and I'm excited to see what's to come for you, Gino.
Yes, sir.
All right, stay safe, man. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.